Hello, MDLP fourth graders. Today we are going to be talking about how to compare numbers. And when we compare numbers, we're going to use terms as greater than, less than, and equal to. So first we're going to start off thinking about those symbols that mean that. Okay, this is our first symbol we're going to think about right here. This symbol is called greater than. And I know it looks a lot like the other symbol, which looks like this, which is called less than. And this symbol, which you're all familiar with, is called equal. Right? Okay, so this symbol is greater than. That's how we read it. So if you think about it, if you read from left to right, if we start on the left side, going from the left to the right, the first thing we see is the big side, the greater side. So that's going to be the name of the symbol, greater than. When we look at this symbol, when we read going from left to right, the first part we come to is the less than part, the smaller part. So this is the less than symbol. So we've got greater than, less than, and equal. So we need to make sure we pay attention to how we place these symbols when we have them next to numbers, because it tells which number is bigger than another number. So that's what we're doing when we're comparing numbers. We're trying to decide which one is bigger, which one is smaller. And when we're using these terms, we use the terms greater than and less than. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we're going to do is think about what we've been working on, which is expanded form. So if I have a number that is this, let's say that I have 429. Okay. And then I have another number. Let's say that I have the number 430. And I want to know which one's bigger, 429 or 430. So I'm going to be choosing between these symbols, greater than, less than, or equal. Okay? So to do this, one way I could do it is with expanded form, which is what we've been doing. So I'm going to write these numbers with all of their values. So the 4 sitting in the hundreds place means that this is worth 400, plus the value of that 2 in the tens place would be worth 20. Plus the value of the 9 in the ones place would be worth 9. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for this other number, 430. I've got a 4 sitting in the hundreds place, so I'm going to write that right underneath it so it's easier to compare. A 3 sitting in the tens place, which is a 30, plus a 0 in the ones place. Okay, so I'm going to look at the greatest place first, and that's our first trick for comparing numbers. We always want to go to the greatest place. So here's the greatest place of this number, pushing all the way to the left, which is the hundreds place. So these are exactly the same. So if there were no other numbers, this would be an equal number because they both say 400, but they're not just stopping there. We have to go to the tens place next. So we can see here I have 20 and here I have 30. So this one right here is the bigger number. It doesn't matter what comes after that. We stop. As soon as we have an answer, we stop. Because if I moved on to the next one, I would get confused seeing that a 9 is bigger than a 0. But that doesn't even matter to us. As soon as we come to one of the values that is bigger, we stop. So that means that this number right here, the 430, is greater than the 429. So whenever I go to write my number or my comparison up here, I need to make sure my symbol has the big mouth, the big part of the symbol pointing toward the bigger number. So when I read this, I would read it as this. 429 is less than, because remember that's how I read the symbol, 430. So that's one way to do it with expanded form. I'm going to drop this board. Okay, so 400 are with expanded form. The other way to do it is without writing these numbers all the way out. I can get the same exact answer. But the first thing you need to do is think about ducks. Okay, so if you've ever been to a park or ever seen on TV, whenever a mommy duck has her baby ducks, how do they walk? Can you think about that? So their ducks are always lined up right behind them, right? And there's even a saying that we have it when it means being organized and getting everything done that you need to do, and it's called get your ducks in a row. So whenever we compare numbers, we're going to be thinking about ducks. Get your ducks in a row. That means just line them all up, paying attention to their places. So that means our lines all have to be super straight. So all the hundreds places are lined up, all the tens, all the ones. So we're going to have 429. And we're going to have our ducks in a row. So I'm going to write 430 directly underneath it. So I've got the hundreds places lined up. I've got the tens place completely lined up. And I've got the ones totally lined up. So now I'm going to do that same trick where I'm going to go all the way to the left, the biggest place possible, which in this number is the hundreds place. And I'm going to start comparing. So I've got 4 and 4, same thing, right? Then I go to the next place. I've got a 2 and a 3. Oh, this one right here is bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and circle it just to let myself know. As soon as I come to a place that has a number that is different, right, I'm done. I don't need to keep going. So again, this shows me right here that this one has the bigger number. So this right here, 430, is going to be greater than 429. So that means I have to put my symbol having the bigger mouth towards 430. Okay, let's try another one. with some bigger numbers. And we're going to do it with just the ducks in a row method, okay? So if I have this number, if I have 1,457,681, and I'm going to compare that to 1,469,803. Okay, so I've got two numbers and I'm going to put my ducks in a row. I'm going to line them up. Okay, the trick is to make sure that we have the millions in the millions place, the 100,000s in the 100,000s, the 10,000s in the 10,000s, and so forth. Okay, we want to make sure our ducks in a row. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take this number and write it right underneath this one. So I'm going to have the 1 in the ones millions place, that 4 in the 100,000s. This 6 is going to go in the 10,000s, that 9 in the thousands place. The 8 was in the hundreds, 0 in the tens, and 3 in the ones place. So there we have it. Okay, so now I'm going to push all the way to the left, the greatest place. In this number, that greatest place is the millions place. So I'm going to look at what digits do I have sitting in the millions place. I've got a 1 and a 1. So they're the same. I can't do anything there. I go to the hundred thousands place. I've got a 4 and a 4. Exactly the same. I can't do anything there. So then I go to the 10,000s place. I've got a 5 and a 6. Well, I see a difference now. So I see this one right here is bigger. As soon as I come to a number that's bigger, I'm done. I don't have to worry about what comes next. I know that this right here is going to be the bigger number. So now I just have to look at my numbers up here and make sure that I write my symbol correctly. Okay, I need to make the big mouth point toward the big number. So I would write it like this. Then if I read these numbers, this would be 1,457,681 is less than 1,469,803. Okay, so that is how we get our ducks in a row and compare our numbers. Okay, sometimes we're going to have a question that asks us which place did we use to figure this out. So let's look at another example. Here is a number, we'll make up one that goes to the thousands place. So let's say that I'm comparing 4,503 to 4,295. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is get my ducks in a row. I'm going to line them up. 4, 2, 9, 5. Make sure I've got everything exactly like I should. Okay, then I'm going to push all the way to the left, which is the greatest place, and I'm going to start comparing. 4 and 4, they're the same. But when I get to the hundreds place, I've got a 5 and a 2, so I see that this one right here is bigger. Okay, sometimes my question is just going to be, which place did you use to determine which number was bigger? So you have to think about which place is circled. Well, I've got the ones, the tens, the hundreds. So my answer, anytime that asks for what place, is going to be a word. You have to think about what word represents that place. That is the hundreds place. So this would be the answer to that if it said, which place did you use to determine which number was greater? This is the hundreds place was the one that I used. Okay, let's think about another way that these kind of questions can be asked. Okay, if I have a number that looks like this, let's say that I have 14,603. Okay, and I want to increase this number by exactly 200. Okay, so first I have to think about 200. What does that look like? That's got a 2 sitting in the hundreds place, right? This is what a 200 looks like, right? 200. There's just a 2 sitting in the hundreds place. So if I want to increase is getting bigger. I'm making this a greater number. I'm going to go to the hundreds place. So here's the ones, the tens, the hundreds. So this is my number in the hundreds place. I've got a 6 sitting in the hundreds place. If I want to increase that, that means go up. So if I want to increase that by 2 hundreds, I just need to make this number bigger by 2 because it's already sitting in the hundreds. So if I want to make a 6 bigger by 2, I would just go 7, 8. So I would change this into an 8. Now that number has been increased by exactly 200 because I only looked at the hundreds place and I went up by 2. Okay, by the same idea, now let's use this number. If I want to decrease this number by, let's say, if I want to decrease this by exactly 3,000. Okay, first I have to look at this number and think about, okay, what place has a digit? The 3 is sitting in the thousands place, right? And I'm going to decrease. That means go down. So if I'm going to find the thousands place in this number, so I've got the ones, the tens, the hundreds, the thousands. That's this place right here. Okay, I'm going to decrease it by 3 because it was 3,000s. So I'm going to take the 4 and take away 3. So if I have 4 minus 3, I get 1. So my new number would be this, 11,803. Okay, so the big trick I'm sure you can see here is that you have to have your places memorized. Okay, if you haven't done that yet, you can go back to lesson 1 and look at that chart that shows the ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, and get all 7 of those places memorized. Okay, that's the first thing you need to do. Okay, for today, the steps you need to worry about are 1, getting your ducks in a row. Okay, so as a matter of fact, that is so important that that is going to be the word for today's video that you need to type in down below. Okay, so you're going to put the word ducks. Okay, and you're going to spell it with lowercase letters to make sure that it auto grades correctly. Okay, so it's going to look just like that. D-U-C-K-S, ducks. Okay, that's to remind us we've got to get our ducks in a row. That's the first thing we have to do. Okay, once we have our ducks in a row, then we're going to push all the way to the left to go to the greatest place. And then we're just going to move across to see where the bigger numbers are. Okay, and then when we write our symbols, we have to make sure that the big mouth points toward the big number. There is one that we have not practiced yet, and I'm just going to show you real fast. This one is the one we always hope for. That's nice and easy because we can see it really fast. So if I had a number that looked like that and I was comparing it to another number that looked like this, remember I'm going to get my ducks in a row. So they're all lined up by places. Then I push to the left. These are the same, these are the same, and these are the same. If everything is the same, of course, I just have my equal sign. So that's the easy one, right? All right, you guys, so that's what we're going to do today. There's some things to practice, and then so you can try it and check your work, and then there's some stuff to practice on your own. Good luck.